The musical K-pop has secured 3 Tony Award nominations, including that for Best Original Score, and its music composer and producer is also the first Asian woman to be nominated in this category. Now, despite the musical's early closing on Broadway, Helen Park believes the run itself has opened the door wider to diversity and more. Welcome to Issues and Insiders. Composer Helen Park is the first Asian woman to be tapped for a Tony Award for Best Original Score in the Broadway musical K-pop. For more on this remarkable reality, I have the pleasure of inviting her virtually to the show. Helen, it's great to have you with us.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
Right, okay, Helen, let's begin with your response then to the nomination. Where were you when you first heard about securing a Tony nomination for your music in the musical K-pop, and what were your initial feelings?
Well, so I was still in bed, actually. I knew that the nomination was happening, the announcements were going to happen, but I wasn't expecting much. And yeah, I have to admit, my agent called me and I was woken up by the phone call. And yeah, when I heard the news, I was just so overjoyed and also just kind of stunned. So I was just sitting on my bed for like 30 minutes straight, just like nothing, like no tears or anything. I was just like staring in the air for 30 minutes. And yeah, I was just so incredibly, yeah, so like surprised and also like moved, and it's really thrilling.
Right, I'm sure it still feels quite surreal. Helen, was it in any way expected? Did you expect to be nominated?
Well, I did feel like, you know, it was such a labor of love. You know, I worked on the show for 9 years, and there were so many songs that were written and then cut and rewritten. You know, I poured a lot of myself into it. So I definitely felt like maybe I deserve at least a nomination. But then at the same time, the show closed a while ago, so I didn't know what to expect,
right,
to be honest.
But we'll keep our fingers crossed because the results are coming out this coming Sunday. So, Helen, in the meantime, how do you respond to the prefix, the first Asian woman to have secured a Tony Award nomination for Best Original Score? I mean, do you feel the need to go on to make more unparalleled achievements, or are you simply humbled by the acknowledgement? I mean, has the nomination been a burden or a boost for you personally?
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of a shock that so late, you know, it's the musical theater and Broadway has been around for so long. And now I'm finally the first Asian woman composer on Broadway. It is kind of a mind-blowing fact. And at the same time, you know, the Tony Award nomination too, the fact that I am the first Asian woman, it is definitely, it's significant. I think it is a testament to the progress we're making in terms of diversity in the arts. And it is so wonderful to achieve this title and this milestone. But to be honest, I didn't really think about that when I was writing the show. My goal was to make a good K-pop show and honor the culture that I grew up loving and grew up being proud of. And yeah, when I focus on that, I got this title that I didn't even think about. And so I'm just really humbled and yeah, grateful for the opportunity to share my story through the form of a Broadway musical.
Right. Helen, what was the inspiration behind the groundbreaking musical K-pop, and what was its journey to Broadway like?
So K-pop, the idea of a K-pop musical actually started in 2014 when Psy's Gangnam Style was a big hit in the world. There was an off-Broadway theater called Ars Nova, and they love to do immersive and innovative shows. And they really wanted to do an immersive show based on the K-pop genre, where people walk through different rooms and experience the story that way. And so we began began writing the story and score for the off-Broadway show. And that premiered in 2017 off-Broadway. And it was very well received, and it got picked up to go to Broadway. And so since then, so much has changed. Including K-pop becoming such a global phenomenon and mainstream, very well known. And we were also moving from immersive theater to more proscenium, traditional Broadway theater. And so we had to make a lot of changes, and we wrote like 50 to 60 songs, and a lot of them we had to throw out and rewrite. And so it was a lot of a 9-year long process, but I enjoyed every moment of the journey. I love K-pop, the genre, and so bringing that to this musical form and to the New York theater scene was really, it was an honor for me.
Right. Helen, the musical itself, K-pop, includes both the Korean as well as the English language. What was the response, that is, to the setup from the audience in Broadway?
Yeah, it was a deliberate choice to use Korean and English lyrics because we really wanted to reflect the authenticity, the authentic experience of a K-pop song. And the response, I was actually at first kind of skeptical. Would people understand, and would people still feel the message of the song? And it really was wonderful to hear some audience members. I remember one Black American audience come to me and tell me that they felt understood, they felt moved, and they felt included. And yeah, that really made me pleasantly surprised and very moved. And that was what we were going for. I think that is the power of K-pop. It's a genre that transcends language and culture. And it was very amazing to see the audience react that way.
Right. Helen, what were some of your priorities as you undertook the daunting task? I say daunting because it was a 9-year project, like you said, of composing and producing the music for the musical K-pop.
It was really a big challenge for me because I really wanted to honor the genre of K-pop, but I knew that that meant I have to recreate the high quality, super polished nature of K-pop. Koreans are, very hardworking, and K-pop, the industry itself is so competitive and it's a high caliber art. And so I really try to up my game in terms of the music production and composition, and really try to capture the details that K-pop is so good at expressing. And so I took that craft pretty seriously. And another thing was that bilingual score, where to place the Korean lyrics and English lyrics, that required a lot of thought and also trial and error. And so, those were the main things that I focused on.
Right, must have been very challenging. Now, this next question, Helen, I'm sure it's going to be a tough one, but is there a song inside the musical that you are particularly fond of?
It's all of the songs are like my babies. I love them all, but if I were to share one song that I'm really proud of and that I'm loving right now it's a song called Mute Bird, and in Korean it's 벙어리 새. I think it encapsulates the feeling of an outsider or a bilingual person who sometimes want to express the emotions and no words come out, and a lot of people, even if they're not bilingual or, a foreigner in a country, they would relate to that feeling of, like this. I think it's similar to the Korean feeling of Han, where, you're yearning for something, you want to express, but nothing comes out, and that frustration, but also yearning, all of these feelings combined, I think is expressed through the soaring melody. And yeah, I feel like it's very Korean, but also very universal. And so, yeah, I think that song is something that I would recommend people to hear.
Right.
We have a cast album online available.
Right. Helen, I understand your son was particularly fond of this song Halfway after seeing the musical last year.
Yeah, it was really, yeah, it was such a moving moment for me because Halfway is a song. It is about the experience of being a biracial person. We have a character in the boy band, a fictional boy band called Fate, and the half Korean and half white character sings this song Halfway. And obviously my son he was 5 at the time when he saw the show, and he had no idea the deep meaning of the song, but he's also half Korean. And after the show, he kept singing halfway, halfway, and he told me that that is his favorite song. And a lot of my friends call that song Hapa anthem. And so, that made me really proud of that song.
Right, I'm sure. Helen, now, despite its surprise hit off-Broadway in the year 2017, as you mentioned, the musical K-pop struggled at the box office, closing off to, I believe, 17 regular performances in about a fortnight since its opening. Regardless of this early closure, though, what do you believe are the broader, more significant implications of K-pop's debut on Broadway?
Yeah, I think despite the early closure, the significance of our show and the impact it had on Broadway can't be understated. I think it really represents this big step towards more diversification of Broadway, and also, it was a recognition of K-pop as a global phenomenon. And I just think that it is such an important step to open doors for more culture-specific stories and different diverse musical styles on Broadway. And I think that's just going to enrich the experience of the audience. People all over the world come to see Broadway shows, and I think we need more diverse and fresh approaches.
Right, of course. Helen, responding to the planned closure of the musical K-pop last December, in a Playbill guest essay, I believe, you said, and I quote, "Just as we're about to start, the doors are closing on us. I honestly do not know what to make of that." Well, since then, you've been nominated for Best Original Score, and the musical itself has 2 more nominations, I believe, for Best Choreography and Best Costume Design. What do you make of this latest development now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm so honored and grateful, and I do think it's definitely a validation of the hard work and passion and love that all of our cast and creative team put into the show. I could see that this show wasn't just another job. For a lot of us, it was something that we really cared about, and I think that really showed. And the Tony nominators definitely seem to have felt that. And so while the closure was disheartening, I think it really was a testament to the lasting impact that our show had in the theater community. Yeah.
Right. On a personal level, Helen, I understand you initially wanted to write Korean pop music before turning to musical theater. Could you share with us the reason behind your shift in interest?
Well, I think I think that songs for pop music and musical theater, there's this similarity. What I love about both mediums is that through music, you can step into someone else's experience and emotions. And I think musical theater brings out that effect way more through providing context through story and character development. So I wanted to do musical theater because I think that emotional storytelling is really emphasized and amplified, but also it's an opportunity to explore different genres. You know, it's not just one genre that I have to stick to. I can create a fusion of genres and can make a unique soundscape, unique for that show and story. You know, kind of one of the shows that I love is West Side Story. The music, when you hear it, you think of not a country, but you think of that show and the story. And so I love creating that kind of world where people can just live in. So yeah, I love musical theater, but I still love pop music.
Right, and staying with that, Helen, generally speaking, what would you say is the global appeal of the music genre K-pop?
I think the most significant and what I love the most about K-pop is that it is so inviting. It doesn't discriminate who you are. No one feels less than or unwelcome. And I think it's because it uses the power of elements that are not just lyrics or, you know, literal language where only certain people can understand. I think the combination of music, dance, and, you know, care for the fans, the fandom, the community, it is a whole package. And when you're you know, anybody who wants to belong, there is a place for them. And so, yeah, I love that about K-pop.
Helen, K-musicals have been seeking inroads onto the global stage in recent times. What are your words of advice, perhaps, regarding such ventures?
Yeah, the advice that I give to anybody is that I think we need to not focus too much on like bringing a Korean show, like doing something that is completely different, completely new, and you know, being the first of something, or you know, I think creating work for the sake of creating something new or shocking, or you know, preaching a new ideal, or I think those kind of approaches are very obvious. And so I would say my advice to people seeking to bring a new musical into the Broadway scene is to just write what you love, and if you're really passionate and in love with what you're writing and you're putting out there, that is going to make the show powerful, and the results will come with it.
Right, that sounds beautiful. Helen, this is an impromptu question. While researching about the early closure of the musical K-pop, I came across pundits who claim that the musical theatre itself, the industry itself, is coming across quite some hard times post-pandemic. Do you agree? Are people going in search of live theatre less?
Yeah, I think it's slowly coming back, but yeah, I definitely could see that people were a little hesitant to come back to musical theater. And what I found was that, yeah, a lot of people seem to only wanting to go to familiar shows. You know, it's during the pandemic, a lot of people have become much more you know, comfortable with the streaming services on the TV. And so if you're paying money to go to theater, I think people just think that the safer choices may be better. But yeah, I would love to see audiences going back to more original work and, you know, just like indulge in everything that new theater and yeah, new work can offer.
Right, of course. Helen, what do you care to share with those who may be perhaps hoping to walk the professional path that you're currently on?
I think what's really important to remember is that your voice is unique, and if you embrace your unique voice and your perspective, that's what matters. I used to be super self-conscious about the fact that I have so many cultural influences because I moved around a lot throughout my life. And musically, I don't belong to one box or another, or one genre. But if you remember that you being a unique blend of different things, and you being different is a good thing. I think you'll realize that your voice is important and the world needs to hear your voice and your stories.
Right, I'm sure that will be great. That is a great message for those who are hoping to walk your path. Well, Helen, thank you so much for making time to be with us live at this hour. And also do take care, I understand, with regard to the air quality there in New York because of the smoke from Canada, right? The forest fires there.
Yeah, it's terrible.
I know. Hopefully it will get better before Sunday when the results of the Tony Award come out. All right, Helen, thank you very much for your time and your thoughts.
Thank you so much.
Right, well, that is all the time we have for this week's editions, that is, of Issues and Insiders. Have a great weekend and do join us again, same time next Monday.